OK and the podcast serves as a vessel to bridge the gap between human isolation and connection. We are all going through something. However, what happens when we start sharing our stories? We will be able to connect, heal, and grow. Come with me and my guests on a journey that will uncover their OK and moment. I'm your host, Just Jess. Let's get started. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're listening to this podcast. I'm your host, Just Jess. Welcome to OK and the podcast. We are bridging human isolation and connection together. And today I have, again, I told you all my guests are special. This woman has inspired me in so many different ways. And knowing from 2007 to 2023, it's been a journey. Able to reconnect and just see ourselves on this really grown side has been tremendous. And she's helped me through a lot of things, just reaching out and just seeing, how I was doing. And I truly appreciate you for that. So go ahead and introduce yourself, girl.
Oh, thank you. You just warmed my heart. I appreciate it. My name is Dr. Gabrielle Jones. I am a licensed psychologist and CEO and founder of Steady Clinical Consultation Training and Development Services. And I am so honored and blessed to be here today. So thank you so much for having me.
I love it. Dr. Jones, okay? Did you hear it? You heard it? Yes, Dr. Jones, all right? So we talked a little bit earlier and just thinking about what we're up against in the month of September. There's a lot of stuff going on, but first and foremost, just knowing that our team, the Dallas Cowboys, will win the Super Bowl this season. And I told you about my trials and tribulations of living with someone that doesn't understand the love for the Cowboys, doesn't understand America's team, just doesn't get it, right? Chargers fan, gross. How did you not only get into being a Cowboys fan, but how did you get into football?
First of all, how about them Cowboys?
Let's go.
First of all, okay. First of all, let's start there. Secondly, I'll start with the first question or the second question about how I got into football. To be honest with you, I've always been a fan of sports, but in terms of actually getting into the mechanics of football, it wasn't until grad school, which is my OK and story, actually. Oklahoma State is also home of the Cowboys. Go Pokes. Our college football team. I didn't have a football team at my undergrad, but I did in grad school, and it was the Cowboys. And when I tell you, the college football energy is just different. And the college football energy in the South and Midwest is just like tailgating. I didn't know any of that. I was exposed to so much culture from the stance of football, and I grew a love for being able to really belong to a team as a fan. Wow. And root for a team. And I met my partner at Oklahoma State. I got so much rich experiences that I take with me to this day from Oklahoma State. And a big part of that is the community that is, living, breathing, eating, sleeping football. So that's how I would say as an adult, like I really got into football. Always been, and this is my heart just because I'm from the Bay, claimed Raiders fan.
Okay.
So claimed Raiders fan. I'm not a bandwagon. I was a Raiders fan growing up and loved the Raiders, always rooted for them. But one of the things that I realized is you have to be mindful of your partner in what they love. And when I met my partner, my husband, in grad school, he grew up as a Cowboys fan. And initially, I didn't understand it. So I was actually on your partner's side. I was like, what y'all, no, what, you're so extra. America's team, what? No, we're not about that life, Raider Nation all day. But once I learned about just, again, the culture and the identity that is so ingrained in people who in Dallas, people who were born and raised in Dallas. My husband born and raised and bred in Dallas, all Cowboys fans through generations. Like it's not a game. Like it is for real, for real. And so it was similar to what I saw in college, grad school, the love for the sport and the love for the team. And then I started to learn about the Cowboys and just their history and, underdog story and commitment to family and community. And I became connected to it in a way that was similar to the way I was connected to the Cowboys at Oklahoma State. And so when I was met with the concept of becoming a Cowboys fan, I don't know if it was a choice, but when I was met with the forced choice of becoming a Cowboys fan, I was like, you know what? I can ride for this team. Like I can do this. I grew to love Dallas as a city. I love Dallas so much. And through that I grew to love the team, and rooting for the team and just watching them evolve over the years has been really tremendous for me. So I'm now an 11-year Cowboys fan. It's been 11 years since I converted. So I say all that to say there is hope for you yet.
Man, listen.
There is hope for you yet, because there's something about America's team that people just don't, you once you pay attention and you start to realize that it's more than just football in Dallas. And it's more than just football across the board. When you're talking about sports and athletics in the South and the Midwest, it just hits different. So I have a great respect and appreciation for the team, but I also just enjoy the camaraderie and community and connection based, this podcast is part of it, is the connection that you make. Like when I walk through the airport in my Cowboy shirt, I always get comments. Somebody go comment on my shirt. Always, period. It don't matter where I'm at. So I appreciate that connection that we can make, like beyond, it transcends race and like all of that. It's just, oh, you a Cowboys fan, we family. And I can appreciate and love that.
That's so, when I love the correlation between that experience, that feeling that you had in grad school, and then seeing that with a professional football team, because that's what it is. To your point of wearing something at an airport when it comes to Dallas Cowboy gear, and just seeing different people identify with what you're wearing and knowing where the team's at. I remember there's a Southern California Dallas Cowboys fan club, and I was in Temecula. My homegirl's dad had a boxing match. So I think we were at Pachanga or Morong. We were at some casino. And so her dad got done boxing, shout out to E. And then all of a sudden I'm seeing like all these different Cowboys. I'm like, what's happening? So I literally ran up to that. I was like, what's up? What's going on? What's up, fam? And so able to join the Dallas Cowboy fan club. And it is a mob of people in Southern California that go to games, that go to training camp, make the trips to Arlington. And to know that presence is in Southern California, I can only imagine what it looks like in Dallas at a game. So again, top tier adventure goal. I'm manifesting it now.
It's
home game.
It is worth
AT&T Stadium.
Yes.
That's wild. So speaking of your okay and moment, and then going into to grad school. So you talked a little bit about, your briefly about your profession, but let's go into your okay and moment and walk us through, what happened. Where were you at when when you had this aha moment, and then what did you do about it?
Yeah, great question. I love it. So I've always known that I wanted to be an educator, that I wanted to be a helper, and I am a great listener. And psychology fell naturally into my lap. Initially, I was debating between being an attorney and being a psychologist, but I can't defend nobody if I don't feel like they're legit, or if I think somebody's wrong. I just can't. It's not in my fiber to be able to litigate in that way. So I was like, you know what? psychology is it. That's the way to be. And a mentor of mine who recently passed away, rest in power, Dr. Michael Connor. He was a psychology teacher at Long Beach State, my undergrad. And he actually taught me what integrity as an adult looks like. So we had an exam and I saw two people cheating. I'll never forget this. I saw them cheating on the exam. And so I went to him and I shared with him. I was like, I think these people cheated and I just wanted to let you know. And he was like, you did the right thing, one. And this just speaks to your integrity as a person. And we're going to do something about it. I won't go into the detail about how that all panned out, but long story short, they were not reprimanded by the university, but my professor, Dr. Connor, reprimanded them based on his course.
Okay.
And he taught me a lesson in always being true to your morals and your integrity. And he also ushered me through what I wanted, what type of graduate program I wanted to get into, and educated me on that, and then pointed me in the direction of who I needed to talk to get to the next step. So just a humble being. I really respect and admire him. My okay and moment happened in my junior year of college, because what I didn't know was that there were a lot of pieces to the graduate school puzzle.
Okay.
And because I didn't have a lot of guidance and mentorship, I was searching for that by myself quite a bit. And, you know, I'm an only child, I'm an only grandchild, I'm a first generation. So I just didn't have a lot of educational resources. I didn't know what steps I needed to take. I didn't know what I didn't know. But one thing that I always have been is diligent and committed to figuring it out. So I joined several organizations. The Association of Black Psychologists was one of the main ones. Shout out ABPSI till I die. That is my professional home. And so I went to an ABPSI event and I met who is now one of my dear friends, who was a graduate student at the time. And I told her, you know, I'm trying to get into grad school. I want to go straight into a doc program. I don't necessarily want to take the master's route. And she was like, okay, well, here's what you need to do. And so she gave me a list of things that I needed to do, accomplish those. I applied to several grad programs that they were counseling psych and clinical psych, and they were all PhD programs, and they were doctoral programs. So you can come straight in with your bachelor's degree into the doctorate program, get your master's on the way.
Okay.
I got several rejections. So I got all rejections theoretically, except for one interview. And that was my okay and moment. So I get one interview, and the interview doesn't guarantee a spot because these programs max at 8 people, and 3 of those people are post-bac. Yeah, 3 of those people are post-bachelors, 5 of them are post-masters, generally speaking. So it's very competitive, and it's not likely, if you didn't, you know, do research or have the academic background to get in. It's very challenging, and I didn't know this, right? So I'm getting these no's, not knowing necessarily why, not understanding, but still powering through. So I get this one interview, and it's in Stillwater, effing Oklahoma. Can I cuss on here? I don't know.
You can cuss.
Okay. Stillwater, fucking Oklahoma. And I was like, where in the hell am I? Like, what? This is the Bay Area. Like, I'm through from Cali, West Coast. Like, what I look like going to Oklahoma? Oklahoma of all places. But you know what? I said, okay, Ian, this what we doing. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. And I had to pray. Like, I was in constant prayer with God. Like, please, please, Lord, make it clear to me. Yeah. Make it clear to me if this is where I need to be, because I don't want to do something outside of your will. I don't want to make anything harder on myself than it needs to be. what I learned is that just because I prayed that don't mean it's not going to be hard. But anyway, you know, I said, okay, I don't have the finances or resources to really pick up and move and go to another state. I never thought to do that, but went to the interview and I fell in love with the school.
Wow.
I mean, I cannot tell you how beautiful Oklahoma State is and how much of an effort my program made to champion equity and racial diversity and cultural diversity and social justice. They didn't just say that. The program was made up of that in various ways. Yeah. So I fell in love when I went to the interview, and I was very surprised by that. And I was like, okay, God, this is great, but how am I get out here? Like, again, make it clear, because obviously we don't necessarily always listen when God tells us where we need to go right away, and we might need some extra stuff. So, I was like, okay, this is great. But again, it's an interview. It's not an admittance. And so I found out that I was placed on the wait list. I did not get in. And this was these okay and moments, like, okay, what am I going to do about this?
The building.
And initially, yeah, exactly. So initially I was devastated, because I was like, well, like, what is my plan? What am I going to do? Is this really the right path for me? Make it clear. I was first alternate, which means I was the first person on the wait list. So if somebody else was offered that spot and they decided to go to a different university, then they would offer me the spot.
So 8 people total to get in.
Yes.
You're the first one on the wait list.
Yes.
Okay.
So essentially they had submitted offers to 8 people. I would be number 9, if you will. So they submitted offers, and you have until April 15th to notify the university if you want to go into their program, right? April 14th, I got an email offering me a position in the program. The day before the deadline, they were like, welcome to Oklahoma State. And I was like, okay, God. Like, this is, I mean, it was just very, very clear that that's where I was supposed to be. No clue why. No clue. Because Oklahoma, again, just culturally speaking, geopolitical differences, cultural differences, identity stuff. I mean, there's just so much that I did not understand in that moment. And so, okay, and you got admitted. What are you going to do about it? Because how am I supposed to move? Again, I don't have any family in Oklahoma. I don't know anybody in Oklahoma. But I got into this program, and this is what I wanted. And it's been pretty clear all along that this is where I need to be. So I reach out to the program director. I say, hey, is there any resources, for support of transferring or moving? And they were like, we'll get back to you. And again, praying consistently, okay, God, please make this clear for me, right? So I get an email that I could apply for this work study program that would give me a job, a stipend, and on-campus housing for the first year. And I got it. Okay, and what else you need?
Right.
What else do you need? What else do you need? So it was, needless to say, it was so clear that that's where I needed to be. And again, no clue why, but it was clear that that's where I needed to be. And I tried my best to follow God and stay in alignment with his purpose in that. And it was probably the hardest 5 years of my life, living in Oklahoma, but it has made the most profound impact on my capabilities and my skills as a psychologist now. Because not only do I have the experience of racism very up close and personal as an adult, but I also have the tools and resources to be able to navigate systems that are historically um, racist, sexist, homophobic, and so on and so forth. The isms go on and on in a way that is effective and practical so that I can contribute to moving the needle forward on cultural responsiveness, equity, social justice in my scope of practice, in my sphere, in my consultation work, in my education and training, and everything that I do. I pull back to the experiences that I've had in Oklahoma for a lot of the work that I do and the understanding that I have now. And I also have Oklahoma to thank for my wonderful partner. I mean, I never would have thought that I would meet the person of my dreams in Stillwater, Oklahoma, of all places. I mean, it's just there's so many hindsight is 2020,
Yes.
and I have so much clarity and so much gratitude for my okay and as that being the only program I got into was Oklahoma State, and I did it, and here we are, you know, almost 10 years later, and I am running a successful consulting business. I received an award for best education and training on the West Coast. I'm collaborating with really um, remarkable Black women who are doing the work. I'm, making change one healthcare system at a time as it pertains to culturally responsive substance use. I'm writing a book. I actually signed a book deal recently. So
Okay.
I'm doing things, and I have Oklahoma State to thank for a lot of it. So um I I I hope that answers your
It
question.
does.
I kind of meandered a little bit, but there's several okay and moments in that experience. But the main one is, when you ask for an opportunity and it's presented to you, what are you going to do with it? And how are you going to make the most of it? And I think, I could tell stories for decades about what happened in Oklahoma and the things that I experienced, and the lessons that I learned, and how I made lemonade out of lemons from those experiences. But again, it's a choice. It's a choice that you make. It can be hard, and you can still thrive out of it. And one of I tend to tell people is specifically marginalized and minoritized individuals. A lot of people think, when you look at grass, it needs water to grow, right? You need
Mhm.
to water it, right? It needs sun. But we're succulents. We don't
Yeah.
need water. We need other things that help us grow. Beautiful plants, and we grow different. And so that's kind of how I've conceptualized my okay and moment in a nutshell. We just grow different.
What advice would you give to someone that has a decision to make that does involve relocation, that does involve uprooting yourself? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think it depends on the stage of life that you're in,
Mhm.
but really think about if you would regret it. Look at 10 years down the road. Would you regret it if you didn't do it? Would you have questions and doubt if you didn't take that step? And what is the biggest risk that would come from taking the step? So would you regret it, and what would be the biggest risk of taking the step? And if neither of those would stop you, then go for it. If either of those feel like they would stop you, or if you feel like you wouldn't regret it, then pivot. It's not to say that's a no, but maybe that's a not right now. Understand where that no is coming from, and if it's selfish or if it's for your own good.
I love that, Gabs. It's really remarkable to hear you not only break down your story, but then identify, like, wait, this is a moment. Okay, this is a moment. And then continue along the journey, because oftentimes when people are hit with that moment, they're like, oh, this is not for me. This is not for me. I'm throwing in the towel. But for you to press on and to know that you know what? I don't know what's on the other side of this, but there are moments that keep happening that are gearing me towards wherever I need to go in Stillwater, Oklahoma. I mean,
Right. Still waters run deep. I was in the Bible, girl.
what? What? But you know, my last question when it comes to Oklahoma and thinking about the people and just the atmosphere and the historical context that Oklahoma brings, what's one word to describe the state?
Ooh. Ooh. One word to describe Oklahoma. Wow. Transformative.
Tell me more.
There are several historical landmarks in Oklahoma that if you take the opportunity to view them, see them, and experience them, it can really transform the way that you look at the world, the way that you uh, think about yourself in the world, and how you show up in the world. So there's a lot of opportunity there. It's also very, very challenging in terms of just like I said, the political climate, if you're a
Yeah.
person of color, as well as the weather. Is them tornadoes is real.
For real, for real.
And it is transformative in positive and also not so positive ways. So having to conceptualize it or think about it from one word, I would say transformative.
I love that. Dr. Jones, I appreciate you being on the show today. Thank you so much for not only sharing your OKM moment, but giving, you know, best practices of if people are up against, you know, decisions that they need to make in a timely fashion, and always, you know, putting God first and understanding what steps he's trying to align you with for his purpose. So I love that. I love you. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Until next time, take care.